So, hi, it's Tyler here from Voices Inc., and I'm going to just go over the brief outline here for creating a single product review. So, if you got assigned this type of article, then here is the outline to follow, which makes writing these very easy um, and which creates a good sort of structure with these reviews on the website. So, these would be things like a particular instrument review, whether it's a product like a keyboard or a guitar, or it might be a software, a learning software, or a membership website to a type of lesson and so forth. So this is a single product review. And I'll give you an example that you can see which does this very well. So the approximate length of these articles is going to be between 1,500 to 2,500 words. Um, I'll stress that a little bit in the outline that I hand over, which way to lean. And I'll also tell you whether we should recommend the product or if we're sort of going to make a positive review or maybe a slightly negative review and maybe recommend an alternative. So that information will all be given to you. And sometimes this word count will really depend on what other reviews are currently ranking well. So basically, jumping right to it, section one is always going to be the APP formula. This should read APP formula. So agree, promise, and preview. And all that information is directly below these outlines, just to refresh your memory on that. Section two, things to consider before buying and then whatever the product category is. So approximate word length is given to you there. Basically, it's briefly remind the reader of the problem that the product category solves, why one would think to buy an item, describe the ideal customer, list things the buyer needs. So I'm not going to read this verbatim, but basically it gives you all the exact bullet points to go over. Next, you move on to section 3, presenting the product. So you give a brief description of what the product is, what it promises and so forth. Explain who the specific product is for. Maybe create some bullet lists with some pro and cons. So some of this stuff is optional, but it's basically a good structure to follow. If some of these things clearly don't apply for the given product, then obviously you can avoid them, but usually a structure like this is going to work well. And next you move on to the bulk of the article, the features and benefits. So now you got to start going through the features, the core principle of the product, and you write maybe a section for each one explaining how it performs, feels, and whatnot. And these headings are all going to follow the structure of sometimes including some benefits in headlines. And then you move on to social proof. Again, if there's no information to create any social proof, then this does not need to be there. But you might find some good reviews out there from other people, so you can either create a screenshot or just create a link and let me know where someone has written a good review or where there's some good testimonials. And so forth. So this is sort of optional, but if there's some good social proof out there, then please reference it in this section. 6 is alternatives. Sometimes there are no alternatives. That's totally fine. But if there are a few alternatives, then we want to list what these alternatives are. And for each, write a short paragraph, how they differ from the main product or how they might be slightly better. And if there are specific alternatives that we want mentioned, I will tell you for that section. And then lastly is just the conclusion. So reiterate the problem that the product solves. Give 2 or 3 reasons why this one is a good product or a good fit. And then conclude with telling the people, where to check the product out. So that's a general outline for the single product review. So these will be instruments, there'll be software, there'll be different products, and so forth. So I went ahead and wrote a single product review following this exact formula. So you can reference it and see exactly how this will work with a different product that you would write. But basically, this review I've taken and done following this exact template. So we'll look and see how it worked out. So this is the Chord Buddy review, and you can find this in the blog section under the guitar section. And this review turned out to be about 1,800 words. So it was right in the middle of our review guidelines here. Probably a little longer than I needed. Basically, if you go and Google at the time just before writing this, Chord Buddy review, the number one listing is this review. And just scrolling really quickly, there's not a lot of content here, certainly not 1,500 words, maybe 1,000 words. The second place was this article, which maybe had like 500 words. And then this article was, I think, ranking number 3, and it has about 600 or 700 words. So basically, 1,000 word, 1,500 word could have been enough. This pushed on to about 1,800 words, but that's the range that you're going to fall into if you follow all these steps. So certainly a 3,000 word article is sort of pushing the boundaries where that's just it's just too big. It's excessive. You don't need that. This range is a pretty good range. So basically, I'm not going to go through this word for word, but you can certainly check it out and see how it follows this formula exactly. And I'll just quickly run through. So right away here, we have APP formula. And right here, we have the section 2, things to consider. So what it really takes to learn the guitar. So things to consider and how they relate to this particular product, the Chord Buddy. And then enter the Chord Buddy. So we give a brief presentation of the product, section 3. So talk a bit about the Chord Buddy there, and basically talk about how it works, some of its components there, and some quotes from the website itself, explain what it is. And then we've got the section 4, features and benefits. So why the Chord Buddy could be a good fit. I'm not going to read this word for word, but start to learn while avoiding sore fingers, build your muscle memory without frustration, makes it easier so you don't quit, see some progress quickly, comes with enough material to keep you engaged, and so forth. So that is section 4. Then we've got social proof, alternatives, and conclusion. And again, here it all is. We've got some social proof there, just talking about some good reviews and some bad ones. Here we have some alternatives. So if I assigned this article, I would have said, make it a very honest review. The Chord Buddy has gotten some good reviews, but it's also sort of gotten some people that complain about it, that it's sort of gimmicky. So be honest with the review. And then I would have said recommend some alternatives such as online guitar lessons. So here's another attachment alternative, Easy Fret, and then another alternatives that we usually always recommend if we can, online guitar lesson. Someone looking for the Chord Buddy obviously wants to learn guitar. We want to recommend online lessons, and that's exactly what this article has done. It recommends online lessons. You can find more information here. And then lastly, just the conclusion, shortcuts don't always work, and so forth. And that was the theme of this article, that the Chord Buddy is kind of a shortcut approach to learning the guitar, which works, but it also doesn't work. And then we've got the conclusion here, and so forth, and we recommend some other alternatives, and these are links to online guitar lessons. So certainly reference this. This is a structure that follows this exact template for these type of single product review articles.